Welcome to the Newbie Money Podcast. I'm a new day trader who's trying to document the whole process of one day becoming a profitable day trader. So if you want to be a part of this quest, sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast. Welcome to the podcast number 1 with Newbie Money. And on this podcast, I just want to talk about my introduction to the stock market and how I got to come to this world kind of thing, and where I'm at right now with the stock market and the whole day trading and all that good stuff there. So the first time I heard about day trading was 2017, but it was one of those things where, you hear about it, you entertain the idea, but you just never act on it, because it's not something I never saw myself do, definitely not take it seriously and try to make a career out of it. But as time moved on, and I was studying finance actually at school, so I would hear about the stock market once in a while, indirectly or directly, and I would meet other people who are entertaining the idea of day trading, but nothing more than a drunken conversation at a party where you're just like, hey, did you see this stock? And most likely I would have like a bare minimum knowledge of the stock, or I would have to quickly Google it on the spot and be like, oh, that's moving a lot, that's crazy, but I had no idea what was going on. I never really understood it. If anything, it was more of like just understanding enough lingo, so if anyone talks about the stock market, I would be able to keep up with that conversation kind of thing. But in terms of like day trading and like understanding what it takes or any big players in day trading, I had absolutely zero idea. But my first true encounter with the stock market was in the summer of 2018. So at this point, I'm at my second year of firefighting, and I had around $15,000, just like 15 grand saved up on my bank account. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to buy some marijuana stocks here. And at this time, Canada was legalizing marijuana, and it just seemed like the right move, like it was being legalized on a federal level. A lot of people were they were not demonizing this substance, it was kind of seeing this miracle drug that's going to cure everything and have a lot of medical application to it. So I just hopped on that wagon, and I was just like, hell yeah, this sounds amazing. And I bought this random stock of marijuana. And I say random now because I know better, but at that time I felt like I did the research and I was buying the best stock possible. Just fast forward, I made double or triple my money on it. But if you bought any marijuana stocks at that time, you would have made double or triple or even 100 times your money, 10 times your money, maybe 100 times your money. I'm sure there's some really, really small cap stocks that really moved, but there's a lot of big name stocks that have moved a lot too. Like, for example, Tilray moved from like $20 to $300 within a very short period. So there was a lot of good opportunities there. So, mid-October, I noticed that I'm sitting on quite a bit of cash now. I'm just like, all right, that's amazing. I've never had that much money in my life. So I came across, day trading in a real way at that point, because before I was swing trading for those money that I got from the stock market on those weed stocks. But I searched, Instagram and YouTube. I came across, these people like Timothy Sykes and other, warrior trading other just day trading influencers like that. So it was like my first introduction to day trading. So I was like, I have this money, and obviously I've proven myself that I could make money, which is what I thought. Clearly, I did not know that much at all, and I was just running on the fume of that extremely lucky move that I had. So with that being said, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a day trader. So starting like late November until mid-November, I day traded, and I was like, this is going to be good. But what resulted was me giving back all that money I got, and probably like $2,000 for my initial principal investment. So as fast as it came, it pretty much left my account as fast as it came. So it was pretty devastating moment, to be honest. I just felt so defeated. I felt like I took the biggest step forward to only take the biggest slide back to where I was, or even worse, a few steps back. So with that feeling, me being frustrated, I decided to do the only thing you could do at that point, and that is go on a vacation. So me and a good friend of mine went to Thailand for a few months, around 2 months, and it was great. It was amazing. If you guys have never traveled for more than 2 months or done like the backpacking, I really recommend it, because when you meet people who are traveling for 2 months compared to people that you meet that are traveling for 2 weeks at a resort, or even at some non-resort establishment, those are two different people. Those are the people that are going for the 2 weeks, are people that are going for a quick vacation, a quick stress relief, and that's it. But the people that have taken 2 months, 6 months to go traveling are on a spiritual quest. They're trying to find someone, or they're trying to find themselves, but regardless of what it is, they're going on a quest. And I was one of those people too, because me and my friend are going for 2 months. So the thing with that is, the people that you meet when you're doing those kind of adventure are one of the most amazing people. They're very interesting individuals, and I've met people like an ethical hacker, I think that's what it's called, and I had no idea what that was at that point. And apparently an ethical hacker is someone that hacks on the behalf of the company and hacks the software to see if there's any weak spot within the algorithm. So I'm like, that's sick. That's such a good occupation. But what that did for me, it was just give me a really good feedback or just a good reflection on myself, because I've never ever thought about day trading to that degree until I went on that vacation and came back, because I was like, hey, you know what? This could be a career path. This could be something that you could take in life, and has a lot of benefits and a lot of beneficial for the kind of life that you want, the kind of life that everyone should have, So unfortunately, I was actually supposed to go for 3 months for that trip, but it got cut 1 month early because I had to go back to work earlier. So if you guys didn't catch it on my other videos or earlier on this podcast, I am a wildland firefighter. So that's what I do for half the year, sometimes a little more than half the year. But something was going on with work where there was a high turnover, so they needed some of the experienced people to come back a little bit earlier. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll go back. But the only thing is, I was a little bit indifferent about my occupation at that time, because the first 2 years I worked there, and this is my third year right now going back. So the first 2 years were a bit rough in a sense where the person that was kind of running it and the person that was in charge of my squad, they're in a bit of like a toxic environment in a sense. Like, and it's more like it's just the environment sometimes, it's almost seems like that's just how the old school firefighting has been. If you guys ever played any competitive sports in high school and stuff like that, imagine all the type A personality people but within one room. So I was a little bit indifferent when I was coming back, but what turned out to be was an amazing year, and us having a huge turnover and bringing new people actually just really brightened up the whole atmosphere within that work. There's still a few bad eggs, but 99% of the people that I worked with were very good people, genuine, and I really enjoyed working there. So it was fun. It was really good. So I do a whole year there. Then I come back to my hometown and I'm just like, okay, should I do day trading or not? So at this point, I kind of left it on the fence. I didn't really do anything. And around November of 2019 or late October 2019, I noticed that the whole marijuana sector was just tanking. So I get in a few dip buy opportunities, and I noticed that I am down $4,000 at one point. So I'm just like, oh crap, okay, this is quite a bit of money down. And I was like, okay, I'll just give it a week or so and see how that goes. Luckily, within the next week, I was able to make $6,000, and $4,000 was covering the loss I had. So I was up $2,000. So I was like, okay, that's good. I'm happy with that. And now I'm still on the fence. I'm just like, should I do a little bit of trading or should I not do a little bit of trading? So I decided January, I'm going to do a little bit of trading. And I traded for that whole month of January, and I gave all that $2,000 back. So I was like, you know what? At this point, I have gone through this experience enough to know that if you lose the money that you got from the market, you just call it a day and you move on. Now, let's fast forward to March 2020. Now, as you guys probably know, March 2020 was, the season of the pandemic. Corona virus came in and it just absolutely shocked the world. And no one was ready for it. Absolutely no one was ready for this caliber of, pandemic and quarantine and all the different things that came with the whole COVID-19 situation. But I found myself, like many other people, working from home. Even though I'm a wildland firefighter, I still had to go to work. But the deal is that I stay home, I have to be ready, and if they call me, I respond. But they still pay me to stay at home. So I'm like, all right, that sounds like a good deal. And around this time, the stock market was also being very explosive and it was making a lot of noise. So I was like, maybe I will try to, make some use of this time that I have and try to be a productive human being. So I found the broker Trade Zero, and I found out that they do give pretty good leverage, and the commission is pretty cheap compared to any broker that I know in Canada. So I deposited $1,500 there, and for 2 months I day traded until my heart content. So spoiler alert, I did lose that $1,500, but within those 2 months I learned a lot. I learned actually, the tangible stuff that you need to become a day trader, or made it more, it made me realize that there's a certain things you got to do to actually become a successful day trader. Because in the other times where I day traded, it was I was swing trading these very, very hot markets where, it's fair to say that I was pretty lucky in it. And when I was kind of day trading and, beginning of January 2020 or mid-November 2019, I wasn't really day trading. I was just like, see something go down and I buy it, hoping it's going to go up. There was no clear setup or strategy that I was chasing. So in that March 2020 until June 2020, that's where I kind of really understood, like, hey, like, you can't just be up 5 minutes before the market and try to trade. Like, you really need to be up early. You need to document a lot of stuff. You got to approach it on a more systematic approach. So even though it was a defeat in a monetary sense, I did learn a lot from that experience. And and later on, the fire season did pick up, so I didn't have any time to trade. So anywhere from July to mid-September, we were busy in my province in British Columbia in Canada. Then from mid-September until mid-November, we got resource requested to go to California to go help out with the forest fires there. So I was pretty much busy from July until mid-November. I would say beginning of November. So I come back, and now I'm just like, I'm going to give this day trading like a serious try. I'm going to sit down and bust my ass. So November 8th is when I created this account or this YouTube channel. And so I was like, I'm going to become a day trader. So I sit down, and I remember sitting on my bedroom, and I had a bunch of like sticky notes everywhere. And I would just like categorize, like, this is my, so-called strategy. This is my so-called risk management. And I had a wall in my bedroom that was just a bunch of motivational quotes. Just a bunch of, I don't know why I had it, but it made me feel really good just to kind of, walk around the room. And keep in mind, I was also in quarantine at this point because we just got back from California, and we had to quarantine for 2 weeks. So I'm still technically at work, but I'm getting quarantined, right? So I couldn't leave my room. All I had to do was just sit there and keep myself busy. So that's why I'm going a little bit mad here. I got sticky notes everywhere. But the motivational sticky notes were really nice because you would walk by, look at it, and be like, hey, that's pretty nice. And I'm trying to recall one of the sticky notes here. I remember one quote said, the only difference between you and a successful day trader is just screen time. So the only difference is just the amount of times that the professional day trader has put in this craft to become, a tangible, profitable, consistent day trader. And if you do the same thing, you should be able to achieve the same caliber. So stuff like that was just what really motivated me. But I really got a big wake-up call when I actually started day trading, because I remember my first day of day trading. When I came back, I lost $500. And also keep in mind, I deposited $3,500 to this account now. So I'm starting with $3,500, and my first day back, I lose $500. So I was just like, holy crap, like, this is not the start that I had in mind. All the times that, I was running around in my room all crazy with my sticky notes, I had a much, different vision and different outcome for it. And what happened for the next month was me bleeding that account from $3,500 to $2,364. So at this point, I was pretty fed up with my whole process, and just, also feeling down to some degree. But I was just at home because it was a COVID, and I just didn't have any other things to do. So I just put all my time and effort into trying to make this work. So I really dove into my strategy, my setup, and what I need to do with that. And what followed is, within 1 month, I turned that $2,300 into like $6,100 or something. So I made back what I lost, and I've almost like doubled my initial deposit. So and I'm feeling good. The market is also doing pretty hot at this time, but again, like I definitely put in the hard work, and I was really happy to see how that was going. So December goes very well. Beginning of January, I had like end of December and beginning of January, I had this little period where I gave back like $2,600 to only make that account close to like $13,000 by the end of January. So January was just a phenomenal month. There was a period 1 week that I made around I think $5,400 or so, but you guys can go to my Instagram channel and go to previous videos on this YouTube channel, because I've documented all of that and everything, so you guys could reflect on it and see. So everything was going well, and February was, I got in a position where I felt like there was a good win on my back, but I was definitely way too overconfident and way too over leveraged. So I would find myself like taking $2,000 hits to make $2,400. So I would only be up $400, but at one point I was down at $2,000. So I was really entering this very scary, very volatile realm within day trading. So February, I probably hovered anywhere from like $16,000, that was the peak that I got my total account to be, to anywhere from like 11,000, sometimes 10,000. So March comes and I say, you know what, I really got to slow this down, and I got to find a good system here. So March comes and I believe I made around $6,800 gross. So I was like, all right, that's good. And I was, slowly getting back my confidence. I wasn't getting these big home runs, but I was still, doing pretty good and pretty consistent. And just like the main thing is I was feeling pretty confident in myself, and I felt like I was getting closer to this dream I had when I was traveling in Thailand, that one day I want to become this day trader. Now April comes, and April is a little bit slower, and I'm slowing it down, and it wasn't too crazy. April was just like $3,000 or something. But now May comes and I have to go back to work. So actually here April was a little bit, I'm trying to remember what the amount was, but like I said, everything is on this YouTube channel. But I think April was around 1,000 gross, and I remember that the commission that I paid for it was a little bit high as well. So it was kind of like a break even month, so I didn't really do that much. So May comes and I decide to take out around like $7,000 or so. I'm like, okay, so I think the account at this point probably had around $14,000 after commission. So I take around $7,000 and I have like $7,000 in the account. I think it came up to like 63 or something, if I remember correctly. But anyways, like I took out quite a bit of the money that I had in there, because I'm going back to work in May and I'm not going to have that much time to day trade. So what happened in May is I got the account to slowly kind of bleed off all the way down to around $5,000. So I was like, okay, maybe it's because I'm busy with work and I don't really have the same time to trade. And also I felt this huge level of frustration that was heavily generated from the fact that I felt like I was at a very good stage with my day trading, and now I had to give that back, or had to give that up so I can go to my day job. But I had to go to my day job because I did want to go to my job because I did enjoy it, but but B, also, like, it is my livelihood, right? That's how I pay my bills. And if I didn't go there, my life would be, extremely more difficult. So just felt like I was ready to take the big next leap, but I couldn't do it because I had to go to work. Now, and around June, I had this really bad trade that brought my account from like $5,000 to like $3,700. So I was just like, fuck, all right, that sucks. So I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on work, and when I come back from work, I'm gonna take this day trading and I'm gonna jump on it just as hard, if not harder, than I did when I started November 8th, 2020. So I take that $3,700, and I also keep in mind that I already took $7,000 out. So I've, made pretty good money out of it for my first initial jump into the market and taking it pretty seriously. Now, for the fire season, it turned out to be one of the most craziest fire seasons in history, and it was insane. There was towns being burnt over. We were working at some time for like 16 hours every day for 2 months. Then they brought us down to 14 hours for another like 1 month and a half, which I know still sounds crazy, 14 hours, but that 2 hours extra time that we had to sleep made a huge difference. So we just were working really hard all the time, and there were some good times and there were some bad times about that, And what really took a left turn for me was I have a supervisor that I work with that for some reason does not like me or has some sort of dispute or dislike with me. I really do not know why, or I can't even explain it, to be honest, but I know 99% of the people that I work with are, we have a very good relationship. I respect them and they respect me. But for some reason, there's something about this guy that he feels entitled to get in my way, or just does not, is not a team player. And him being in a leadership role compared to me is a very, unfavorable situation for me, and it's a bit of like a power struggle like that. So the situation got worse and worse and worse, and near the end, around late August, I was extremely fed up with it, because not only was I dealing with the stress, of working 16 hours every day, and just, seeing towns burn on fire, and just all this like very stressful job situation that I was going through. On top of that, I had this like predatory supervisor that was, pretty much making my life a living hell for no reason. And he had zero, there's nothing I can recall anything. And that was the most frustrating aspect of it. So I said, enough is enough. So I get the union involved, and I get, upper management involved. And the union was very swift with it. We had back and forth call, email exchanges, the same thing with the management. And at the end, we all have a sit down, a meeting, and the meeting just kind of came to a conclusion, being like, the supervisor guy being like, okay, you know what, maybe I did cross the line, maybe I shouldn't have said that, and I'll try to do a better job. And that's where it ended. But what followed after that was nothing different. The individual did keep his distance from me, but there was no tangible progression in us building a relationship or trying to just have a very healthy, co-working experience. And I don't know if any words could describe of how just empty I felt, and how just defeated and just so stuck. Because now I did everything I could to deal with this person, but I couldn't really work or didn't do anything. And the union and the upper management did genuinely try their best. They did. And I know this because I had multiple conversations with them before and after. And so I do truly believe that the bigger institution is there to look out for me. But in a sense, it is a union job. Like in the end, it is a union job. And with any union job, it's going to take a very long time to come up to a very good conclusion, especially when two parties are having a conflict and one party is not playing the game or not even doing anything, you know? So that was very, very, very difficult. Now, around 3 weeks or 1 month after that is when my firefighting contract finished. So I'm still feeling a lot of emotions from that and a lot of stuff. But as soon as my firefighting finished, I was so happy to go back to day trading. So I told myself that I'm gonna sit down and just work my ass off. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sit down, work my ass off, and become one of the best day traders as it could be. And but what happened was far from my expectation. And like, hear me out. I wasn't thinking that I'm gonna come back and become a millionaire, but I definitely thought I was gonna pick up from where I left off. But what I didn't notice is there's definitely a certain amount of baggage that I had from work, you know. And just putting that whole situation with the supervisor thing aside, just the job in itself, you know, it is a very, very stressful occupation. You know, there's, like I said, with the towns being burnt over and stuff like that, you know, in the end, Mother Nature is going to do what Mother Nature is going to do. But you are, you know, essentially, I don't want to say responsible, but you're the first line of employee. You know, you're the people that the neighbors see when you're driving into the forest to stop that fire. And they're looking at you with that trust to be like, hey, this person is gonna save my town, you know? And when things don't play out like that and just Mother Nature does what Mother Nature is gonna do, you're gonna feel horrible regardless of how it played out. So there was a lot of those compounding emotions that I had throughout the summer that I didn't notice that affected me as well. And that whole situation with the supervisor, it was just that tipping point. That was the one that just nailed the hammer, nailed the coffin, I guess. So, and it was bad, guys. It got to a point where I remember I was having dreams that I was like in jail, and I would wake up and be like, what the fuck? Like, why am I dreaming like I'm in jail? Like, I've never done anything illegal that would take me to jail or something like that, you know? Like, overall, I'm a law-abiding citizen. And what I did is I Googled it after, and apparently, and I'm not saying that Google is right or something, but it was saying that individuals that have these kind of dreams where they feel like they're in jail or they're like escaping from jail are people who are going through a lot of stress within their life, and they feel like they're stuck in a situation. And that's kind of how I felt. I felt like I was stuck because if I go back to firefighting, which I want to, for at least a few years because it's a good job, I have to deal with that individual. But now I also have to put a lot more pressure into day trading to make it a successful occupation. But yes, anyone knows that day trade, that putting extra pressure on day trading is probably the worst thing you could do. You know, might as well just take all that cash out, pour a bunch of gasoline on it, and just light it on fire, you know? So I just felt like I was stuck between two hard points, and I just didn't know where to go. So that's where the dreams came in and stuff like that. So this is kind of where it brings me in right now to where I am at this stage of day trading. I know that I've had good success with day trading and I've had bad success. And I know that last year I had a really good encounter with it. You know, I was able to sit down, bring a systematic approach to it, and and see pretty good success. But now there's a certain, regardless of what kind of certain degree of systematic approach you bring to it, you also have to match a certain emotions that comes with it, so, and my situation is completely different from your guys' situation. You might want to be a day trader because you really like the aspect of working from anywhere around the world. That's definitely one of the main things that I like about day trading. Maybe you want to be a day trader because you're a single parent and you want to stay home and support your child or something, or you just want to stay closer to your family. There's a lot of different driving forces that add the additional pressure for you to become a day trader soon. But the thing is, it's, like I said, is having additional pressure to become a day trader is probably the worst thing you could ever do. So with that being said, right now, the tools that I'm trying to, use to help me out is, of course, understanding what is causing my problem, and the emotion is a huge part of it, because a lot of it is just you being honest to yourself and being like, hey, this is actually what's happening to me, and this is how I got to deal with it. Because a lot of us could still be in a very denial situation when there's a lot of stuff on the line, because you don't want to admit that, hey, I'm facing a very, the odds are stacked against me, and you don't want to admit that because it's just a very scary thing to metabolize. So I get that. But the best thing you can do right now for sure is just understand whatever situation is causing you not to become not a good day trader, because since we're new, there's a lot of stuff we have to figure out. But every single new day trader has some sort of big obstacle in front of them that they're not dealing with. So for me right now, like I said, is that whole emotion and that whole stuff that I had this summer, and I'm working with it. For you, it might be you're not taking it as seriously as you should, maybe. You really do have to put in those hours. Last year when I made those gains, minimum I put in one day was 8 hours, and I loved it, and it was great. So maybe that could be it. Maybe your strategy and stuff like that is not up to code, maybe. But that could be it. But this brings me into the final part of this podcast, which is I think for us as new day traders, what it's really gonna help is finding our why and what. And I'm gonna explain that a little bit more. So finding out your why, meaning why do you want to be a day trader, and your what is what are you gonna do to become a day trader. So think of your why as the foundation that you build your house, is that solid foundation of like when you wake up one day and it's 5:30, it's 1 hour before the market, let's just say 1 hour, like 5:30 Pacific, and the market's gonna open in 1 hour, and you're like, you know what, I'm kind of a little bit tired, I'm gonna set my alarm for 6:15 and wake up 15 minutes before the market opens. But you should be up 1 hour before the market opens and be prepared. So this is where your why comes in, because instead of you pressing that snooze button, now you can be like, hey, if I really want to take this seriously, and if I really want to be a successful day trader, I need to be up 1 hour. Or if I need to be a very successful day trader, I need to put in more research time. I need to journal. So it just having that solid foundation makes it really easy to do the right thing when the right thing is needed to be done. So I really encourage you guys to really find out your why, and even write it down, whatever it takes. The second is what are you gonna do to become a day trader? And think of this as like so how I said the why is like the foundation that you build your house, and the what is the tools you use to build that house. So what are you gonna do? how hard are you gonna work at this day trading stuff? You know, how hard are we going to, sacrifice to become a day trader? Or are we just going to become one of those millions and millions of people that say, hey, I tried day trading, didn't work out for me. Or I tried day trading, complete scam, don't do it, And the odds are showing that if we don't work hard, in fact, if we don't work really hard right now, that's the direction that we're heading. That's the natural gravitational pull. So what are you going to do to become a day trader is also a huge part of that, and breaking that down and write it down in the end, guys. I think these are the tools that is really going to help us out in the end. So again, find out your why do you want to be a day trader and what you're going to do to become a day trader. So I think with that being said, I'm just going to wrap up this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed these podcasts. I'm going to be making one every single month. I think this is just a little bit of a different way of, talking about my experience as a day trader, because it's a little more, how do I say this? More personable in a sense, because I feel like I get to really talk about myself and my emotion and that stuff in a sense of where I'm making my trade recap. It's, you can talk about your emotions and stuff, but it's a bit different, and this is more of like a storytelling time. It's a bit of more of a just easier listen than it is what I'm trying to tell you guys, what I'm looking at a tape to, or what resistance and support I'm trying to buy or short at, so it's a little bit different, and I'm really liking this experience. So you guys can expect a different kind of podcast every month. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening and tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next one.